Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. It's Whitney Wiley, and this is 30 Days of Habits. I'm going to be talking today with Val Jones. How are you doing, Val?
I am so good. I am so excited to be here today.
I'm excited to have you. And Val is a contributor to the One Habit for Success, the Smart Film Summit Special Edition. And she's going to be talking today about a really important habit. It applies to both genders, but in particular is something I think impacts women more, but I'm sure men have this issue as well. And that's how we talk to ourselves. And it's important that we talk to ourselves nicely and from a place of compassion and love. And so, Val, why don't you tell us about a habit that you've written about and why you think this is so important?
So, I'm going to start off by asking a question. How do you talk to yourself? Would you ever in a million years think of talking to your mom, your wife, your best friend, your boss, your daughter, the way that you talk to yourself? Okay, let's go one step further. If what you said was broadcast over, well, for me, it would be Mile High Stadium. So insert your stadium there. If what you said was broadcast over Mile High Stadium, would you be proud or would you be embarrassed? And you don't even have to answer that question because I already know the answer. And while I'm working on being better, I too am guilty of it. And so it's just, I've been obsessed with this mindset of how we talk to ourselves for quite some time. And I just really want to move the message and influence and impact. Like you said, men do it too, but I think us girls are a little bit more guilty of it. So I want to change the narrative of how we talk to ourselves.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And you make a good point. If it were broadcasted, what we say to ourselves, right? If you wrote down what you said and then or what you say to yourself in your head, and then you were to replay it on a public address system
Mhm.
in a stadium, and people would probably cringe, right?
Yeah, it's truly
So
horrific.
how do we go about changing that? What are the steps that I do or that you're doing currently, or someone in our audience? What are the steps that we actually take to make this change?
So it's one nasty comment to yourself at a time, right? It's very hard to do a whole lifetime um, of talking to yourself. So, you know, um, let's take, because I think most, unless I'm wrong, most of us have some weight we want to lose. Okay. Even if it's that last nasty 5 pounds, right? So whether it's 550 or whatever, instead of saying, I'm fat, and we've all said it, when you say that to yourself, just stop yourself. Take a deep breath and change the narrative. Say, I have fat I'd like to get rid of. And here's the thing, if it's true that what you say to yourself, the universe or whatever it is that you believe in will seek out to prove you right, then why would you talk to yourself like that? So
Right.
just it's the little things, catching yourself. Instead of saying I'm fat, I have fat I'd like to get rid of. Notice I didn't even say I have fat I want to lose,
Right.
because your spirit, if you lose something, chances are you're going to want to find it again. And I don't want to find that fat. I want to
Absolutely.
get rid of it.
Right.
So it's just practice, practice, practice. It's every time you say something nasty to yourself, take a deep breath and reframe it in a more positive way.
You're right, and I think it boils down to words matter, right? Our thoughts matter
Sure.
And the thoughts matter because the words matter that come from the thoughts that come out of our mouths or that are rolling around in our head.
Yeah.
And I say the same thing with my clients all the time. It's like, did you just hear what you said? Right. And particularly I am statements, which are some of the most powerful statements, right? Because you're taking that on as an identity of who you
Mhm.
are.
Mhm.
And so things that are transitory, temporary, I always try to get them to start with, I have the habit of, like, if someone says I am a procrastinator, you're not a procrastinator. Maybe you have the habit of procrastinating. Like you said, I'm not fat. You don't say I am fat. You're like, maybe, the way you say that is I have extra weight or extra fat and
Right.
whatever it is you want to get to. So the words really matter, in that reframing really seems to be the key. And it's a process, right?
It is.
Which
It is.
means that you're going to have to do it over and over again, catching yourself and doing it over and over again
Mhm.
until what happens?
Until, the goal, right, would be that we don't ever talk negative to ourselves. But we're human, and things creep back in. I like to tell my clients, kind of to mirror what you just said. um, I can't do this, by adding the little word yet. I can't do this yet. It just changes how your body and how your mind and your heart receives that message. I can't do it yet. The ultimate goal would be that we don't ever talk poorly to ourselves.
Right.
But we're humans and we're gonna make mistakes. But I honestly think that this is a skill you can learn. And just like any skill, you have to train it and you have to practice it.
Right. Right. It's before we started, you were telling me of an exercise that you do in groups. Is that something you feel comfortable sharing here?
Yeah. So what I have everybody do is I have them write 5 nasty things that they've said to themselves over the course of their life. And then we pass those papers around. So we just keep passing, so that until nobody has their own paper. Okay. Because I wouldn't ever want to embarrass anybody. But so we just keep passing around. Nobody has their own paper. And then I have the audience members read out what their paper says. And you would just be shocked and saddened about the truly horrific things I've heard people say to themselves. Goes way beyond I'm fat, I'm not worthy, I'm a loser, I'm never going to be amount to anything in life, I shouldn't even be alive. I mean, just truly awful things. And I just think uh, I think Dr. Phil is right. He says the most important relationship you will ever have in your life is the one you have with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's strong.
Do you think that that exercise in the groups, when people hear out loud someone else saying those words, that it has a shock value that helps kind of jolt them out of and really pay attention then to what they're saying?
It does. I've never done this exercise where we haven't all just been in tears. It's a shock, but it's also knowing that I'm not the only one.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's, in a very weird way, it's like a very bonding moment, because to know that you're not the only one that thinks about yourself in that manner is special. So it's a very moving. I cry like ugly girl cry. Yeah.
And I bet there's some reassurance, even though people don't know whose sheet they're reading, whose words they're actually reading,
Yeah.
that there then becomes some affirmations to each other that no one in the room is any of those things, right? That we are not only in this together, but we are better than kind of collectively what we think about ourselves individually.
Yeah. It's a very strong emotional moment. So, um, and hopefully they walk away thinking, okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not alone in this journey. And they walk out a little bit more positive and a little bit stronger feeling about themselves.
So your unhabit, and for those of you who are new to the book, that there's a habit and an unhabit, and your unhabit is basically the reverse of the habit. So the habit is to get in the habit of talking nice to yourself, and the unhabit is to unhabit talking bad about yourself. And so it really is, it's a two-part process, right? Is that you've got to probably even more parts than that, but you've got to recognize that it's happening, and then you've got to get in the habit of saying nice things while you're moving from the habit of saying bad things. You want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about that?
You are exactly right, Whitney. When you're trying to create a new habit, it's creating that new habit, but also breaking that bad habit. So kind of is saying what as we said earlier, as soon as you say that nasty thing, take a deep breath and say it back, but in a more positive way. So it's undoing that bad and then installing the good. The brain is a very powerful thing. And if I could just share a story.
Sure.
I'm a former professional figure skater. I competed at a very high level. When I told myself before I stepped out onto the ice, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Well, the brain allegedly can't understand don't or no. So all it heard was fall. And guess what? You want to take a guess? Well, duh. I fell. When I told myself I am going to nail every single jump, it's going to be solid. Guess what else happened? I nailed every jump. So there is a ton of research out there that what you say to yourself matters.
Right.
And well, at the risk of being Bible thumpy, God spoke the universe into creation. So if you are a believer of any sort, if God spoke it into existence, how important do you think speech is to God?
Yeah.
And I didn't come up with that. He gave that to me a few years ago. But so speaking to yourself is hugely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So are there any parting words you'd like to share and this message isn't just for women. We said it seems to be more prevalent, but absolutely, fellas, this message, if it resonates with you, it resonates with you. So yeah. Val, do you have any parting words for the audience on addressing the two sides of this coin, talking nice to yourself and not talking badly to yourself?
Well, Whitney, our book has a lot of amazing habits in it. I would encourage anyone watching this, keep chasing down each habit. Keep chasing down the best version of yourself. Stop the negative narrative. When you go to bed at night and you rest your head on the pillow, you should have good feelings about yourself. Think about how much more you're going to get accomplished. Think about how happier you are going to be. Think about how much more joy you are going to get out of this life. if you just be nice to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great way to wrap up our discussion. Val, thank you very much for joining us. And everyone, as Val said, if you don't have the book, get the book. The link is in the post. And take the time to look at all 30 habits and unhabits. The 30 contributors have done an amazing job assembling great things that will make a difference in your life. And you just implement one habit at a time. When you feel like you've mastered that, you can then pick another one. So thank you for joining us. And Val, thanks again for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Whitney. Have a great day.
I will. You too. Bye-bye.